Trump has landed back from his Chinese visit. He gave a report to French television saying that Tehran would face a very bad time if it failed to reach an agreement. And now Israeli media is saying in Iran International that there'd be he's expected to make a 24-hour decision. But what's interesting is about 40 some minutes ago, and this is what I sent in the chat, Armin, is that there was a Truth Social post that there was orders from a U.S. warship to fire on the Islamic Republic flag saying, okay, we are in our sights, fire. So I'm thinking it's any day now. By any day, I mean probably within the next 2 to 3 days. And I'm wondering what everyone else thinks about this.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can see it, Armin.
Yeah, I see it. Actually, let me change the banner based on the news that we're covering. Okay, so let me look at it. So Trump posts animation. Here, let me actually put it here. Trump posts animation ordering strikes on Iranian aircraft. U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday posted an animation on Truth Social in which he orders a U.S. warship to fire at an aircraft bearing the Islamic Republic's flag, saying, "Okay, we have it in our sight. Fire." Yeah, the caption that Donald Trump posted is new media post from Donald J. Trump. Oh no, this is actually an X account showing what he posted on Truth Social. Okay, and there's an animation that goes with it. Let me see if what the animation shows. It's just basically a ship going and then getting. Oh, okay. It's just basically a ship taking down a drone. All right. So, yeah, I do. Hold on. Let me go back here. I do see a lot of signs that maybe an attack is imminent, but some people are saying that President Trump. I'm seeing two different types of analysis. I see a lot of people saying that an attack is coming very, very soon, but I also saw Menashe Amir on Iran International, who's an Israeli analyst, saying that he talked to some Israeli officials and they think that President Trump is going to need more time to decide. But President Trump needs to make a decision within the next few weeks. Like the deadline for making a decision is coming soon. But some people are suggesting that based on everything they're saying, we're days away from an attack. I do want to see what other people here have to say about this. So, and like Jeffrey and Sketch and other people who have better information regarding military operations and everything they're saying, are we seeing an attack happening within the next couple of hours, or is Menashe Amir correct? And based on the information that he has within Israel, he thinks that no, President Trump requires more time to make a decision.
All right, so we have many twos in the chat. Daniel Dome is the first one.
Thank you, Nare. And although we in Israel see, like in our air, in the skies, we see a lot of American airplanes, all of them, like different types of the airplanes, whether if it's fighter jets, if it's bombers, if these are tankers. But I don't know if Israel will take an active part, like it was in the Roaring Lion. I think Israel will this time use the informational noise to finish the job with Hamas and Hezbollah, while I believe the Arab countries who are around Iran will take more active part along with, or maybe separately with, like while America will do some operations in Iran. That's how I see it.
Okay.
All right, next Sketch.
I found some interesting news. There was an armament ship that was hijacked by the IRGC, just found floating. I think it was close to Qatar, or one of those countries on the other side of the Persian Gulf. And it was like a China, it's a ship that China controls. So I think there's double messaging on China, because one of the things that might have been something planned earlier, but I think one of the things that Trump wanted to do when he went to China, it's not enough to agree. Oh, you agree that Iran can't have a nuclear? Okay, so give me some intel. You're in there, right? If you're making a deal with me, if you want to make these deals with me, give me some intel I can use on this war now. Give me some papers I can pass by my people so I can get rid of this problem that we both have, because I know you're having problems with this too, China. And I'm almost certain China didn't want this to extend this long. So you want to help me out? You want to prove that we should do these deals? You got to give me some intel on Iran. And if he has good enough intel that he can pass by the security committees, then I would imagine, things are moving. I would imagine that might be one of the things that's going on. But I also found it interesting. I got a report from Max Afterburner specifically about that weapons ship. I'll put it in the chat. But I find these two things interesting and how China plays a role in these upcoming events.
All right. Thank you, Sketch. Jim, you're next.
I wanted to make this point. I wish I brought it up earlier about either Trump or Bibi doing a future attack on Iran. I'm curious why these guys didn't decide to target the Iranian so-called justice system or the Islamic Republic's justice system, and particularly Asia E and Khalili, with all the political executions going on. You'd think you'd want to get rid of these guys much sooner than later. I know Armin and Goldie, you guys talked about that last week. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
This is a question that I see so many Iranians ask on Murad Vaisi's live chat. They say like, why AG was not targeted? Why AG was not targeted? And Murad Vaisi always answers them that because our priorities is not their priorities. They're saying that the Iranian people, what we think is like what the people who we want dead first are not the same as the what the Americans. They have their own strategic priorities, and it doesn't always match ours. That's the answer that he gives. What do you think about that answer?
I mean, it makes sense from a logical point, but I'm just thinking, just as the humanitarian side of me, it's like if you're going to try to keep as many of your people alive as possible, that's who your prime target would be. You would imagine, but I don't know. I wanted to get everybody else's opinion on it because
So
that always struck me as strange.
Killing AJ would not give that much of a strategic advantage to the United States. It would give it would actually indirectly, if you think about it, because it would motivate the Iranian people so much more. It will really give them a lot of energy and motivation to see AJ dead. And it will also make to be honest, like Iranian people are becoming a little bit, and they're half on, well, not half, but some of them are disappointed with why the Americans didn't continue the military operations. We do see some Iranians suggest that Trump should just listen to Netanyahu. And again, I'm not saying all of many Iranians adore President Trump and they love him so much. But we also do hear some of them saying, like, if it was up to Netanyahu, the Islamic Republic would have fallen by now. Some of them suggest that if we just went with what he wanted to do and we didn't do a ceasefire.
Yeah. Nail Bunny, you're next.
Yeah, you were asking about whether we think there's going to be strikes or something. I actually sent you an ex post from Iran International, where it was about, I can't see it right now and it's in Persian, so I can't tell you. So you can look at it. It's the most recent one I sent you on Telegram. And it's basically that it's a report from Israel's Channel 13, I think it was, about what they actually think it's going to be in very soon, like today or tomorrow. So
really, let me. No, I did. I have looked at it. I don't know why it's not telling you that I'm looking at it. So I don't know why. So I'm actually going to read it. So this is from a few hours ago. Yeah, this is very fresh new. Okay, thank you, Nilbani. Let me read it. Israel's Channel 13 reported that assessments in the Israeli army indicate that Trump, upon returning from China, will issue an order to attack the Islamic Republic. Ooh, wow. Attack the Islamic Republic in order to catch Tehran off guard for the third time in less than a year. Okay. According, guys, what is channel Israelis? What? Let me know about Channel 13. Are they like how reliable are they? And says, according to this report, killing senior official. If that's the case, why would you expose this? Like you're taking the element of surprise away. According to this report, someone's mic is open. According to this report, killing senior officials of the Islamic Republic will be among the attack's objectives. Channel 13 wrote, the goal is to strike a blow to the Iranian regime and force the Islamic Republic back to the negotiating table from a position of weakness. According to the plans, the scheduled attack will include targeting governmental infrastructure, energy targets, and power plants. The report continued, it is estimated that the Air Force in this joint attack will attempt to target senior officials of the Iranian regime. The Israeli army hopes the war will last only a few days. Interesting. This is big news. And this is just from, thank you, Nalbani. This is just from only 2 hours ago. Amazing. What do you guys, okay, think about this. Oh. Oh. Sorry, I wasn't
What's
sharing
that?
the group. Sorry. Go say that again. I wasn't
No.
sharing the group. Say that again. Sorry, go back.
Which one?
Go back to your point that you were making.
Oh yeah. So there's, you have President Trump's statements. He talks about decimation will continue or be continued. This is all pre-strike signaling, essentially saying patience is running out. The door is wide open for force. Second indicator is, and this was, dropped by the New York Times. I know, fucking New York Times, right? Ugh. Pentagon is prepping major escalation plans. So Pentagon has drawn up fresh strike options that can kick off as early as next week if talks keep failing. The top of the list is possible special forces raids, hundreds of operators to seize or destroy remaining nuclear material at facilities like Isfahan, although, that has its own issues there. Broader airstrikes on IRGC remnants, the regime remnants. Remember what I said, guys? Underground missile sites, command nodes are also on the table. You have like 5K plus Marines and about 2,000 plus paratroopers ready to surge into the region to support. That's the strongest operational indicator we've seen in a couple of weeks. The U.S. military posture and mobilization signals. This is a big one. So Kara strike groups and B-52 bombers have confirmed position for immediate kinetic operations, which means, President Trump and the Pentagon readouts emphasize readiness. There's no fly zones. Tanker activities are ticking up all over. Ascent Cat very much puts that on her YouTube channel. That very much matches like the kind of the force posture that we've seen prior to the strikes. You have the regime remnants. They're trying to reconstitute all their bullshit. So they're like, intel confirms regime remnants possibly have regained access to 30 out of 33 of their missile positions along the Strait of Hormuz. They were cleaning out debris and trying to dig out buried launchers and all this other shit. And that they they deployed their bullshit mini subs as invisible guardians in the strait, right? So basically they're poking Donald, which is probably not a good idea. Brent crude, so the oil market and diplomatic kind of signals. The Brent crude is climbing again on the Hormuz blockade fears. So the Trump G call produced zero firm Chi-Com commitment to pressure the regime remnants on nukes or shipping. It was just a vague agreement on that Hormuz shouldn't be militarized. Marketing, shipping insurers are pricing regarding renewed disruption. That's classic early warning economic indicators. So what does this all mean like as a takeaway? I would say that we are very much I could say with a very high degree of human certainty, there's a very high degree of probability we are in the talks failing plus the United States is planning visible phase. There's no shots being fired right now. That said, it could be fired at any second though, because every box for imminent resumption has gotten ticked off, especially the special forces nuclear raid option and President Trump's decisive language. This is something I want to say and make sure to send it to the regime remnant dickheads that are still fucking around in Iran. If you do not fold fast, most analysts would say that your asses are on the target list, hit list, and whatever IRGC leadership and underground assets are going to be obliterated. So if I were you, I would seriously suggest you do some serious fucking introspective analysis on how quickly you want to meet your 72 goats. Because McDonald's done with your bullshit. No one cares about your mosaic defense crap. We got more than enough GPS guided munitions to take out all you fuckers wherever the hell you try to hide.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it. Armin, you're next.
Okay. All right. So just to give a summary to everybody about the people who argue that, oh, they don't think that an attack is happening soon, and also the people that say that an attack is happening soon. So these are the people who think that we're a while away from attacks happening. So these are the points that they make. They say the foreign minister, the Islamic Republic foreign minister Abbas Araghchi, confirmed that they received communication from the Trump administration, indicating a willingness to open new negotiations to resolve the deadlock over the nuclear program and regional conflicts. So that's what they pointed to that. I don't know why they trust Araghchi, but okay. And the U.S. State Department announced an extension of the temporary Lebanon ceasefire by 45 days. This is a recent news, by the way. This cooling off period directly reduces the immediate risk of a wider regional flare-up, they point out. Trump recently warned Iran that it would have a very bad time regarding its proposed transit toll mechanism in the Strait of Hormuz, bragging that the U.S. could knock everything out in 2 days. Analysts view this as a coercive diplomacy, using massive threats as leverage to force Iran to the negotiating table rather than a prelude to imminent bombing campaign. So these are the things. Oh, also the China factor. Following recent summit between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, China has been actively pressuring both sides towards a peace deal. She has reportedly offered to help mediate the Strait of Hormuz deadlock, giving both nations an off-ramp. So these are the points against an imminent attack. So let's look at the points for that so far people are talking about online. Trump recently rejected Tehran's latest peace proposal, calling the document garbage and officially declaring the fragile U.S.-Iran ceasefire is now saying that the fragile U.S.-Iran ceasefire is now on massive life support. So that's number one. Then we have direct warnings. Following his recent summit with China's Xi Jinping, Trump expressed extreme frustration over stalled negotiations. He publicly threatened to revive military action, warning that the military decimation of the Islamic Republic is to be continued. And then we have the Strait of Hormuz escalation. The U.S. recently resumed naval operations to force open the blockaded Strait of Hormuz. Trump has issued ultimatums warning that Iran will face higher level strikes and be blown off the face of the earth if they attack U.S. vessels attempting to clear the waterway. So those are the 3 points people bring up that suggest that, because these are some red lines that have been drawn and crossed. So people would be like, it's hard to believe that Trump would not respond to that soon. Also, I just wanted to thank the new member that we have on YouTube. Veteran Huffman just became a member on Liberty Politics. So thank you for that. Appreciate that. Okay.
Okay, next person to respond is Shauna.
I just want to make sure I heard Jeffrey correctly. Did he say he talked about Marines paratroopers? So are we looking at boots on the ground? Is that what that looks like? Troops on the yes, Jeffrey Armin. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly.
Jeffrey?
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. If with regards to the Marines and or airborne troops, I would contend they're almost assuredly going to be used to grab certain key islands and deny the Mullah regime any ability to use them to hold the Strait of Hormuz or our allies or non-combatant shipping hostage ever again.
Okay, so grabbing islands, what does that mean?
So, like, think Kesem, think Kharg, think the the lesser and northern and southern lock or less. It's been a long week. You know the islands, right?
The Tombe Bozorg, Abu Musa, and also Lavan.
There you go. There's the one.
I understand that there's a bunch of islands near it as part of Iranian territory. I understand that conceptually. I mean, what do they mean by grabbing it? I mean, would that just be to fend them off until the revolution? Like, what do we have any idea what that means?
We
If
would
they have to-
probably liberate those islands so that they can no longer be reoccupied by IRGC remnants and be used to threaten our allies, our forces, Gulf state allies, or non-combatant commercial shipping again. Additionally, also to probably hold them, if they do what I suggested, and hold them in and as like to be good stewards of them and liberate them for Iranian people. There's plenty of oil on Kharg Island that can be then, sold at market prices to us and our allies, even if it's at a slightly discounted price, and bought from, say, His Highness Prince Reza Pahlavi and the transitionary government if they were hopefully recognized as the government in exile. And that would provide all the kinds of resources needed to develop a sustained track 2 material support strategy that would inevitably leverage and or develop the anti-mullah Persian diaspora outside of Iran to train them up and go throughout Iran like a bunch of Cuisinarts, killing whatever IRGC and or besieged remnants are left.
All right, thanks for answering. I don't want to take up too much of the chat. We have a lot to get to. Let's circle back about that later, Jeffrey. Bye.
Thank you, Shauna. Sketch, your insights.
Okay, track 2 material support. When you hear Jeff says that, that's like support as far as equipment and weapons, probably small arms. That's what he's talking about. You're going to hear that a lot. Track 2 material support. He's just using the language we use, but to Walmart Americans, that just means supplies and weapons. That's what it means. And I would imagine the focus would be more on the Strait and less on Kharg, because Kharg can become a target. You could just make that a giant bomb, and they might lash out and hit their own infrastructure. So I would focus on the Strait. That would be my guess, that they would go straight for the Strait, pun intended. And that would be where my focus would be. I would also like to remind everybody that we hit 13,000 targets. All right, not 1,300, 13,000 targets. So I understand that the people of Iran are, hunger and suffering is going to do something to demoralize you, no matter how clear you are that the help is probably more than anyone else has done. So I can understand that. But we, as people who are on the outside and maybe have a little message in it, can tell them, look, these guys hit 13,000 targets. They had to rearm and resupply. They had to rearm and refuel. Don't take this ceasefire as, oh, they're making a deal. Take it as, oh, we're doing what the IRGC does. We're using ceasefires and negotiations as a trick to rearm and resupply. We're just playing them at their own game. Don't be disheartened, because you got to look at it literally. We hit 13,000 targets. That's a lot of targets, and we're doing more than anyone else has done in 47 years. So don't get down. I know hunger and suffering is gonna demotivate anybody. You're only human. But if I would give anything to give hope, is to remember no one has done more in 47 years. We hit 13,000 targets, and I'm betting next time it's gonna be more than that. So just keep hope alive.
Thank you, Sketch. Jeffrey, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick to elaborate on what Sketch had said, if they go with the maximalist strike package that me and other kind of maximalists are pushed up the channel, up the chain, we hit 13,000 targets in 30 plus days. This will be 36,000 targets in 5 days. That's the end of the regime. I mean, there's nowhere you're going to run. I can go through the target list like I've done before. I won't do that. Understand with the IRGC and besieged leadership, which is what is being targeted, the remnants, you're talking about killing every fucking officer and leader in the IRGC and besieged down to the lieutenant. You're talking about every regime element being pasted and obliterated. You're talking about all the conventional ground forces being destroyed, like tanks and IPCs and all that stuff, all gone. All the stuff in the Strait of Hormuz is dead. I don't know why they keep, well, I do know why. if Donald goes with the maximalist approach and he gives Pete the go ahead, the forces that we have there now is well above and beyond anything we had in the initial strike at the 28th of February. Yeah, that's going to be a spicy meatball, man.
Armin, you're next.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the taking over of the island on the Persian Gulf, I always was wondering, how could you protect the U.S. soldiers if they take over those islands, given that, I don't know, like the Patriot system or the THAAD is not going to be there with them. And if they take over those islands, we have like all of the stuff. There will be a lot of drones and missiles coming at them, because it's not just that they have to take over the island, they have to hold it as well. So you're just basically, the soldiers are just in those islands and just sitting there, and basically under heavy bombardment by the Islamic Republic, with no THAAD, with no Patriot system. I mean, can we bring these interceptors? Like, are they going to just bring them there to the islands to protect the soldiers? And if we are bringing it there, where are we bringing it from? I do know that we don't have like unlimited interceptors to keep like, and I think like if American soldiers are there, the Islamic Republic is going to try to throw everything that they have at them. So there's that, but I also was checking this, and I don't know if there's other ways to stop the missiles and drones. I'm looking at this. People is saying high energy lasers. Does what? High powered microwave weapons and tactical electronic warfare system like the Ninja platform. I don't know what that is. They can blind or fry drone guidance systems instantly. Okay. And then there's also automated networks like the Project Flytrap and Hollow Shield architecture. Use AI to link radars across the island, instantly tracking and assigning the cheapest weapon to defeat incoming swarms. And then we have also bunker and decoys. Troop survives saturation strikes by using reinforced underground fortifications. Well, can they build that right there that fast? Well, physical and electronic decoys trick enemy missiles into hitting empty sand. So yeah, I don't know how realistic this is, and whether or not they're going to be able to move all of this there. I know it's not easy moving heavy air defense like the Patriot battery is like moving that is like a logistical nightmare, and you're also now leaving somewhere else defenseless if you move it there. The Patriot battery requires dozens of massive vehicles, heavy trailers, and intense maintenance, making them highly vulnerable to attack while being transported across the water. I know, like, we have amphibious those. If you look at USS Tripoli and USS Boxer, I don't know if they are meant for armored vehicles and other amphibious capable vehicles like hovercrafts. I don't know if you could move the Patriot with them and fast before, while they're being moved around. They're not active while they're being moved. So you could, the Islamic Republic might want to hit the Patriot system with drones and missiles while they're being moved around. That would be really devastating if you could get that done. Also, when talking about amphibious strike groups, I don't know why we keep looking at it. The US is constantly giving us updates regarding Tripoli, but the Boxer, like the USS Boxer, we have been waiting for USS Boxer to arrive, because if we are going to be taking over any islands, you would assume that the USS Boxer will be involved. But we haven't seen the USS Boxer anywhere, and we don't even know if it's close to the Persian Gulf. You would assume that if it was going through the Malacca Strait, it would have been seen by somebody on land. So people assume that, given that there's no sighting of it, people think that it's still over there, close to Philippines or whatever, instead of being close to over here. But there's no update regarding that. So I don't know. If I would assume that if they want to take over islands in the Persian Gulf, they would bring both Tripoli and USS Boxer there at the same time. So there's that.
All right, we have 2 more responses, and it's almost an hour, and we've only had one topic.
Yeah,
But
so
okay,
Nara, you could cut the number of responses to a certain number if you want to get to the
okay,
next stuff.
I will do that starting with the next one. But Jeffrey, did you want to add something real quick? and then we'll move on. Okay, sorry, Sketch.
Real quick. So you asked a lot of very valid points in regards to how would you defend forces on, say, Kharg Island from being targeted by IRGC, remnants, missile, and mass drone attack. The reason we'd go there first is to deny the IRGC from using Kharg Island, the oil there, to commit a mass act of, environmental, economic, and ecological terrorism. As far as defending against incoming air and missile attacks, you kind of touched on a couple: directed energy, weaponized drone swarms, rotor wing aircraft acting in the close air support to shoot down drones with 30 Mike, just like the Israelis did. So think about the video that you talked about or that you cited with regards to what was posted by President Trump. What happened in that video? You've seen a drone and it was destroyed by a high energy laser.
Yeah, and the caption,
Alright.
and the caption, "Bing, bing, bang, bang, gun." Also, don't forget that. That was important to add to the caption.
We have the best lasers in the world. They're all dipped in gold. Us and lasers, the best of friends.
They're all gonna die like a dog.
The bing, bing, bang gun is technical term in military that most people don't know. But yeah, all right.